Today we're talking about the death of Xbox Game Chat. Or, well, I guess Game Chat and video games in general. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well, as it always is. So, to really go over the death of Game Chat, we kind of have to go over the history and really the changes of it over time, as that kind of establishes the setup of the scenery and allows us to go over what's exactly happened over the years. So, back in the day, if you played, I don't know, like Call of Duty 4, more like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Halo, Gears of War Online, uh, the online community was aggressive. Like it was a very interesting time. There were people that you would more easily meet online. There was lots of fights, lots of really horrible things said. I've heard some interesting stuff over the years, needless to say, as I'm sure others from the, I guess you would say, the mid to late 2000s probably did. But there was a time where you were forced to talk with others, or I guess not necessarily forced, but it was very common. You would go and you would talk to other people online, you would communicate, you would interact with them through online servers. And I'm sure this was the same on PlayStation 3 at the time, PC. You were in your communities and whatnot because crossplay really wasn't a big thing between consoles and PC, but you interacted with people, you talked with people, and that's how you met some people online. That's how you had epic battles. That's how you had crazed things, right? There was all kinds of stuff going on. People would communicate. And we had private chat, so you and one other person could talk privately on Xbox. That was kind of a thing. But what really was the advent of the death of online game chat was parties. So parties were this thing that Xbox Live introduced, where you could have a group of people coming together and talking. You had your own little chat group, and you were able to communicate. And that is really what absolutely killed or ended or started the end of online chatter. It wasn't the complete end of it, but it was definitely the start of that sort of thing. Some games were even fighting against it, like Modern Warfare 2, for example, had lobbies where you had to leave your party chat and talk in the game to play it. And there were a few other games that adopted this sort of thing, but it kind of vanished over time, that whole concept of being forced to talk in a game, if that makes sense. Like you never had to talk to people online. You could always just mute others or just not have a headset, or like you didn't have to communicate, but it was more engaging and fun and interesting when people did talk with others online. And then from party chat obviously grew and changed. There was the Xbox One era, and then Series XS, and now you can do like text messages in there. You can have tons of people talking in party chat. But that in itself has also kind of vanished, and part of it is a weird build up towards the monitoring of chatter, and just like the weirdness of how voice chat is handled. So most people, partially a big part of why game chat has died. I would say parties were the big change, but nowadays it's more the idea of you kind of escaping from the chatter of the game, escaping from any sort of thing that could happen to you, and you going to other places and talking elsewhere. So there's things like Discord, obviously, or you might just call someone. I don't know if you call somebody, but there's lots of online and other places that you can chat with others, mostly Discord. So the idea is, I'm assuming from the company perspective, is they're kind of offloading the responsibility of monitoring their own chats by kind of trying to push you to third party chat things. And it's like it's someone else's problem. But it's gotten really quite bad in the sense that you are like fully monitored wherever you're doing your chatter and stuff like that, which I think is a bit odd. Like, on one hand, it's obviously good to moderate and handle outliers that are saying horrendous things. Like, I mean, again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video, like, I've heard interesting things over the years. And I think some of you that played back then also know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And then you have some people that would come in and they'd be like, well, this is needed. You gotta, think of whatever. And there's always excuses for why more control over what you say and what you do is kind of a thing that people like to say, and it doesn't really look good to go against that because it's sort of the common populist thing to be like, oh yes, this is the way we must do things. But it's kind of weird, right? Because like on the Xbox, you can literally like record at any point anything being said to you and report it, which I guess is technically a good thing, but from another perspective, it's just kind of like, what if you say just like a basic swear or something like that? And then you've got a base like I don't even do they have the chats that you could send text messages to people. That used to be a thing too, where you like, flip somebody off or something that said something bad or did something in a game, you'd be like, oh, I hate you or I hate you, and sometimes people take that like way, way too far, but other times it's just kind of like a F you, back and forth kind of thing. I'm sure people have done that. But like I won't say anything on text messages or anything on Xbox anymore because it's monitored to death. You say one thing, you get like a communications ban, and you're worried about losing your entire account with all the money, thousands of dollars you spent because you're just communicating with someone. So that's kind of an extension of what we're talking about. And then we've seen that come to party chat too, where it's like you're basically they've pushed you to not play and chat with people and to use other third party things, and it's just completely killed all of my interactions for voice chat and stuff, I would say, across platforms. Also, I do streaming, so you can't have voice coming through and all that, and I don't know if I even like to talk to people anymore, but I don't know if that's because they've killed the idea of talking with people entirely. And this is available on other platforms too, like Call of Duty, which is obviously owned by Xbox and Microsoft now, has similar voice monitoring stuff. And COD is probably one of the worst, but always has been for what people say. But other platforms are doing this, seeing PlayStation kind of build up that concept too, and it's just kind of a little bit sad, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm not necessarily sitting here trying to be like, oh, we need the freedom of speech in these, obviously not freedom of speech oriented areas. But it's just kind of like a sadness of going over the death of voice chat and the death of in-game communication, which I think is really sad because when it's really great, it's really cool. Like for one instance, I was trying to do Gears of War achievements, and I had a pal with me, and we were communicating with a guy that was from Spain, and we were doing like messages, like we were kind of talking about doing an achievement. So we basically were doing translations and sending messages back and forth to organize and get an achievement. And that, for an example, is a cool thing of like running into somebody online and chatting and playing games. And I've met numerous people that I still chat with today, on Xbox and stuff, but we met through doing like game chat and voice chat. And now people don't really do that. And I know voice chat wasn't ever really amazing in the sense that like people would blast music through it, or they'd use their Connect to chat, or on PlayStation use their DualSense to chat, and it's not like the best always, but like there were gems in the rough from being able to communicate in that sort of way in gaming. And it just, to me, is a little sad that we've seen it basically just completely die out. And that's what I'm saying is like today I don't use it at all, game chat, but I don't know if it's a combination of like all of these sort of pressures to just not do it. And I know lots of people that do still chat, but they do all their chatter through Discord and whatnot and third party chatting options instead of directly through the console. And I do think that has something to do with the a little bit nanny state like of things, if that makes sense. Not saying they're I guess goals or the idea of what they're trying to do with monitoring all this stuff is for is they keep it clean, and Xbox and those online communities and stuff have had a terrible rap over the years for what gets said, and I think the bad gets kind of amplified over any sort of great thing. But you get what I mean, though. I'm trying to get the context of like it was really cool at its time, and now it just seems completely gone. And it's a little worrisome too, because it gets to the point where they're even doing like in-game communications, and just the room for error is a big problem for me. Because again, these accounts, you have lots of money into them nowadays. Back in the day, it wasn't as big of a deal. Your account gets banned or whatever. It's like it sucks. I would never want that to happen to me personally, but your account gets banned, you get a physical disc, you just pop it in, or you just make another account, you keep playing, you still own the game, right? Nowadays, your digital account gets sunk, you're just like, well, that's the end of that, there goes all that money I've spent on all these games over the years, and some of the games don't even exist to buy anymore. And yeah, it's a little bit of a more worrisome thing because you've got like it's not moderated by people. I think that's a big thing I want to get across too. Is like there's some level of people moderation, but obviously more and more of it's done automatic, or I guess with AI stuff and everything like that nowadays that they're pushing. And it's a bit weird because, for example, there was Final Fantasy 14 Online finally came out for Xbox, and people were reporting that they were getting like comms bans and stuff for saying basic in-game phrases that they were like looking for players or trying to interact with other people. And it's like there's no one that's gonna look into this. So if you get an automated machine that goes, "Oh, you typed in, let's say LOLZ or something, lols," and the machine thinks that that is a bad term and gives you a communication ban, there's nothing you can do. You can like counterclaim that ban, but then it's just going to go to another automated service. And the idea really is just to offload any sort of moderation work and just kind of give themselves a bit of a pat on the back for doing the right thing. And I know I'm specifically kind of pointing out on Xbox for this kind of thing, but that's obviously just the particular platform of chatter here and where I've seen and experienced most of the moderation stuff. And it's just kind of a little worrisome where it's like to the point where, you're typing something in against somebody in a match or in a game. Like they shouldn't be monitoring stuff that's like outside of the reach of things. And then the other flip side of things, if I want to like swear or something in a game that's mature, I mean, I should be able to. In ESRB, they don't rate online interactions. They're not rated by the ESRB. But you get what I mean, just the sense that it's like, I mean, I should be able to swear or something. I'm an adult. It's like they overcompensate, if that makes sense, for really just regular language. People, they do swear. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Shocking. You know, my poor ears. But to, people, that's just regular verbiage and discussion and chatter. And it's part of language, which we all know. And yes, people say some bad things and blah, blah, blah. But, like, if you're playing a mature game, you should be able to interact in a mature way and not be, like, coddled. Coddling for, like, children that shouldn't be technically playing mature games, that's a whole discussion in on itself too, right? The SRB ratings, they're more like they're guidelines. But it's really weird to get this level of like over moderation in my opinion on some things, and it's just kind of a bit odd that you can say something that really is basic, not offensive, and then get moderated against for that. And it's a bit odd because again, it should be, if the moderation is being put forward, it should be in the sense that it is like actually being reviewed by a human, if that makes sense. And I know they have their systems of how they do things, but it's just weird that you can be typing in a game something that's not offensive, not even a swear, and still have problems and just have an automated set of services that just kind of screw you, right? Which is not fun at all. Not a good time for anybody involved. But yeah, that was kind of really my overall arc, was just the concept of going over how game chat has basically died, how it died over the years, and where we're at kind of now. And it's a little bit sad for those that are younger, because I'm sure you interact with your audio and your chat or with your friends and stuff in different ways. It changes all the time, right? Every era it's a little bit different. Phones to in-game chat to phones again, but using like third-party chat options, and Discord being a big thing, which Discord is just kind of the evolution of forums. Actually, I'm a little disappointed that Discord has killed so many online forums and communities. They offload all of the management of those and stuff to Discord communities now, and it's kind of sad to see so many online forums that are so historical kind of vanishing. It's just interesting. But yeah, it's a neat evolution seeing this thing change over time. I'm not saying there shouldn't be moderation. I'm not saying moderation is a bad thing. There probably could have been a lot more moderation back in the 360, or even, I guess, the original Xbox era, honestly. Or the same with the PS3 or PC or online gaming. But, like, there does need to be a bit of a middle ground between being able to actually facilitate a situation where people feel like they are comfortable to talk with others and communicate with others if they want to or enjoy it, without feeling as though their purchase of thousands of dollars over many, many years, decades, is going to be gone because they say like one bad swear word or something, or play a mature game and can't interact in a mature way. And I guess it depends on what they say too, of whether that's mature. But you get what I'm saying, is the context of like it just being really sad to see game chat having died out over the years, because it was such a cool thing back in the day. And I think some people still use game chat. I still hear people, I still see people say stuff, and that's kind of cool, but it's really quiet, right? A lot of matches, if you do actually try with a game chat, there'll be like one other person talking, or you'll just be by yourself, or there'll just be one guy blaring music into the microphone that nobody likes, that to happen. They want to be everybody's DJ. It's like the guy on the public bus that's like rocking his well, I guess it wouldn't be a boombox, but playing his like iPhone, or the people that go out in their day to day public and they play videos and stuff on their phones and they're not using like earbuds or AirPods. It's like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Those are the real people that have problems in society. What is wrong with you? You not care about others at all? Anyways, I digress. I'm totally getting off topic on that sort of thing. That's a whole other discussion for public people. But yeah, it really is interesting to come from a time where it was like you talked with everyone. You wanted to talk with your friends, and like it is kind of funny because before party chat, you could only do one-on-one chat, right? Like the private chat. And you're just sitting there and you're like trying to talk with your buddies specifically, and then you've got all these other people butting in because it's just a general chat thing. When you were in lobbies, you were actually in lobbies of people communicating and interacting, and it is kind of hilarious to see that it's changed from, oh, we wanted party chat, and it's like, oh, party chat's the best, and now we're kind of like, I don't even know the last time I was in a party chat on Xbox. It might actually have been like a year and a bit or more. And that was only kind of as I kind of pop in and interact with certain people or try to test things out, I guess, audio wise. And it's weird because parties are technically cooler than ever, right? Like you can share text messages in them and you can have tons and tons and tons of people. You get to too many people, it's weird. Anything, like usually I try to keep it to like three, maybe five if we're going crazy, but I've been in party chats where it's like way more than that. You're like, how do you do a talk or anything like that? But I guess if you're organizing groups and stuff, yeah, I guess you would need to go over. But it's really strange to see like the sort of communal element of it kind of vanishing, because it was pretty cool that you would go on and you never know who you would interact with. Some people would be really cool. You'd have great times. You would add your friends from it. You'd be buddies. Maybe you'd be buddies for like years and years down the road. And nowadays, it's like I don't even know the last time I've interacted with a random person in a video game at all, beyond kind of having a little bit of a joke session for that time. And even nowadays, my joke sessions, I don't even interact or actually directly talk with them. It's more in-game actions and character actions, and it's just kind of sad to see that vanish and disappear. And that's the whole kind of point of the topic of conversation, is not necessarily specifically again against or for moderation to any degree. It's more about just the death of like game chat specifically on the Xbox platform. Some of the worries of where it's kind of going, because I do think that automated moderation is going to continue to grow and be more offloaded because it is cheaper and more affordable. But I do hope that there are some balance checks in place for people so that they can, be saved if they didn't do necessarily anything wrong. Because it is a little bit weird that you're like typing in a game totally calm, fine things that like are literally you're trying to connect and play with others, and that's like horrible. Because I think the funny thing will be like it'll be the type of people that like don't normally say anything and they say one thing and it's like, oh come on, and they get like huge com bans and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's a weird system. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves, and honestly I think it'll keep changing because like I said, it went from no chat offline, game chat with private, party chat, more party chat, more offline, offloaded stuff, and then doing third party chat. And I'm sure that will continue to change. I mean, we got Discord integrated into the consoles, and that's wild to see how that's gone. But should be really interesting to see the end game of chatter. And who knows, maybe game chat will kind of have a renaissance at some point down the road. I highly doubt it. But it was kind of fun and cool at the time to talk to people, and nowadays it's just like there's no chatter. I do remember fighting with people a lot about stuff online, like, Gears of War matches and stuff. People would get really, really competitive, or you'd be talking about other stuff, and it's a shame that that kind of discussion has vanished, but I also get why. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video and this chatter today. Liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well.